Everyone in the Moretti estate feared one woman, not the guards with rifles at the gates, not the lawyers who could erase names from documents, not even the Mafia boss himself. They feared his bride, because Lorenzo Moretti could destroy your future in one afternoon. But Vivian Moretti preferred to destroy people slowly. She fired staff for walking too loudly. She made servers cry over folded napkins. She once forced a chauffeur to stand outside in winter for scratching her mirror. And when she smiled, people checked whether someone else was about to suffer. For 3 years, Vivian ruled the mansion like a queen who enjoyed punishment more than luxury. Then the new maid arrived on a rainy Monday morning carrying one suitcase and wearing shoes too plain for a house that expensive. By Friday night, the bride's locked room was open. Police lights were outside the gates, and Lorenzo Moretti was staring at his wife like he had never known her at all. If stories about power, betrayal, secrets, revenge, forbidden love, and shocking endings are your thing, then subscribe right now to Honey's Romance Stories, hit the notification bell, and stay until the very end. Because this story gets darker every minute. The House of Silence. The Moretti estate stood on a private hill overlooking the city. From far away, it looked beautiful. White stone walls, Italian fountains, rows of cypress trees, balconies wrapped in flowers. A place magazines called elegant. But beauty often photographs better than truth. Inside, the house felt like a museum where joy had been banned. Every vase cost a fortune. Every painting was original. Every room smelled faintly of expensive candles and fear. The staff moved quietly, not because silence was peaceful, but because noise attracted Vivian, and attention from Vivian rarely ended well. There were 17 employees on the estate. Cooks, gardeners, drivers, maids, security. All of them knew the rules. Never enter the east corridor after dark. Never speak unless spoken to when Vivian was present. Never ask why the third-floor room remained locked at all times. And above all, never let Lorenzo see distress, because if he noticed suffering, he would ask questions, and Vivian hated questions. The new maid. Her name was Elena Hart, 31 years old. Plain black dress, hair tied back, no jewelry except a silver chain hidden beneath her collar. She looked ordinary, in the exact way dangerous people often do. Nothing flashy, nothing memorable. Until you looked at her eyes. They were calm, too calm. The eyes of someone who had already survived worse places than this. The housekeeper, Mrs. Bell, led her through the kitchen. Nobody welcomed her warmly. Not because they were rude, because friendship in that house was risky. Anyone favored today could be fired tomorrow. Anyone noticed today could be targeted tonight. Elena understood immediately. Fear always arranged itself the same way. People laughed too quickly, apologized too often, avoided eye contact, walked like they were listening for danger. She had grown up around fear. She recognized the smell of it before she recognized perfume. By noon, she had cleaned 2 guest suites, organized a linen room, and memorized 3 camera blind spots. By 1 o'clock, Vivian noticed her. First collision. Vivian entered the breakfast hall wearing cream silk and diamonds bright enough to insult sunlight. She stopped when she saw Elena adjusting flowers on the table. "You're new." "Yes, ma'am." "Look at me when you answer." Elena raised her eyes. No fear, no challenge, just stillness. Vivian disliked stillness in others. It suggested inner structure. "You're arranging roses incorrectly," Vivian said. "They're facing the light," Elena replied. "Exactly. Turn them toward me." Elena paused only a moment. Flowers lean toward what keeps them alive. The nearest maid nearly dropped a tray. Vivian smiled slowly. "We'll see how long you last." She walked away. By dinner, every employee knew. The new maid had answered back. And survived. The kind man in the wrong house. Lorenzo Moretti was not what outsiders imagined. Yes, he was powerful. Yes, men feared him. Yes, judges answered calls they pretended not to receive. But inside the mansion, he was often absent, and when present, strangely distant. He spoke politely to staff, remembered birthdays, asked after sick relatives. He looked like a dangerous man trying to live as a decent one. which is its own kind of tragedy. He met Elena on her second evening. She was polishing silver in the library when he entered carrying files. "You're the new maid," he said. "Yes, sir. They work people too hard here. Only people who allow it." He blinked, then laughed once. A real laugh, unused. "I don't know whether to admire you or worry for you." "You can do both," Elena said. He smiled faintly and walked away. From the doorway above, Vivian had seen everything. Punishment begins. The next morning, Elena's workload doubled, then tripled. Rooms already cleaned were added back to her list. Sheets were changed twice daily for empty bedrooms. Windows polished during rainstorms. Silver repolished after midnight dinners. Classic cruelty disguised as standards. Elena accepted every task without complaint. Worked steadily, never rushed, never broke. This irritated Vivian more than resistance would have. Bullies need reaction, the way fire needs oxygen. Elena gave none. Then came the public humiliations. Corrections over dust nobody could see. Criticism over towels folded exactly right. Sarcasm in front of maximum witnesses. Elena responded each time with the same sentence. "I'll handle it." No excuses, no apology, no emotional reward. Vivian began sleeping poorly. The locked room. On Thursday evening, Elena carried laundry to the third floor and noticed something strange. The locked room door had scratches near the handle. Fresh scratches, as if someone inside had tried to claw outward. She paused, then heard it. 3 soft knocks from the other side. Not pipes, not settling wood. Knocks. She stood very still. Then footsteps approached from behind. Mrs. Bell, her face pale. "Never stand near that door," she whispered. "Who's inside?" Elena asked. "No one you can save." Mrs. Bell hurried away. Elena touched the silver chain under her collar, then walked on. But now the house had her full attention. Why she came? Elena had not arrived by accident. 10 years earlier, her older sister Mara worked at the Moretti estate briefly, then vanished. Police wrote, "Adult voluntary disappearance. No body, no evidence, no urgency." Their mother died believing Mara was alive somewhere. Elena did not share that hope. She shared something colder, of suspicion. When she learned Vivian had married Lorenzo and taken over the estate, Elena applied under a false name. She came for answers. If she found nothing, she would leave quietly. If she found truth, someone would pay. The child's drawing. Friday morning. Elena was cleaning Lorenzo's study when she found a drawing beneath a desk. Crayon lines, a house, a woman crying in a window, and written badly at the bottom, "Please help Mama." The handwriting belonged to a child. Lorenzo had no children. Vivian certainly none in residence. Elena folded the drawing into her apron. That night she waited near the third-floor corridor. At 1:12 a.m., Vivian arrived carrying a tray of food, unlocked the door, entered, stayed 6 minutes, exited empty-handed, locked it again. Elena's pulse slowed instead of quickened. She always became calmer near truth. The bride's secret. Saturday gala night filled the mansion with politicians, celebrities, and expensive hypocrisy. Champagne floated. Laughter performed. Music covered rot. Vivian sparkled through rooms, collecting admiration like taxes. Lorenzo played host with practiced boredom. Elena served drinks and watched timings. At 10:07 p.m., Vivian slipped upstairs. Elena followed through service stairs. At 10:10, Vivian opened the locked room. At 10:11, Elena reached the door before it shut completely and saw inside a woman, thin, pale, mid-30s, chained by one ankle to a bed frame, and beside her, a little girl of perhaps 7 holding a stuffed rabbit. The child looked straight at Elena and whispered, "Are you here to save us?" Then the door slammed shut. The trap opens. Elena went directly to Lorenzo's office. He was alone with whiskey and ledgers. "There's a prisoner in your house," she said. He looked up slowly, careful. A woman and a child. Third floor, east room. He stood so fast the chair toppled backward. "You're lying." "I wish I were." She placed the child's drawing on his desk. His face changed. Where did you get this? Under your desk. He stared at it like memory waking. Because years ago, he had once heard faint noises from the corridor, and Vivian told him renovations were underway. He had believed her, or chosen to. That difference now mattered. The door opens. They reach the corridor together, staff behind them, security behind staff. Vivian, exiting the room, froze when she saw Lorenzo. What is this? She demanded. Open it. You're embarrassing yourself. Open it. His voice shook the hallway. She laughed, then saw no one else laughing. Her hand trembled, entering the code. The door opened. Inside sat the chained woman shielding the child. Lorenzo staggered backward. Who is she? Vivian smiled strangely. Your first wife. Silence detonated. Because Lorenzo's first wife, Sofia Moretti, had supposedly died in a boating accident 8 years earlier. Vivian had comforted him through mourning, then married him a year later. And now Sofia sat alive, starved, older, eyes full of hatred. The child beside her whispered, Papa? Truth like fire. Police came, guests fled. Phones recorded everything. News vans filled the gates before midnight. Under questioning, Sofia revealed it all. Vivian had drugged her years earlier, staged the boating death, bribed doctors, and hidden her in the mansion itself. Why? Because Vivian loved Lorenzo's power more than Lorenzo himself. She raised their daughter in secret to control inheritance later. And Mara, Elena's sister? Sofia wept when asked. She tried to help me escape. Vivian had her removed. No one knew where. Elena's knees nearly gave way. But grief had years to harden inside her. Now it sharpened. The bride falls. Vivian was handcuffed in silk, still smiling, still elegant, until the child she had controlled stepped back from her and hid behind Sofia. Then, something finally cracked. She screamed Lorenzo's name all the way down the stairs. He never looked at her once. What remains? Weeks later, Lorenzo dissolved shell companies, cooperated with investigations, and turned over records that buried judges, officials, and criminals alike. Some called it redemption. Some called it panic. Maybe both were true. Sofia recovered slowly. Sunlight hurt at first. Freedom often does. The daughter, Lucia, learned parks, ice cream, scraped knees, bedtime stories. Normal life felt magical to children denied it. Elena stayed only until they were safe, then packed her one suitcase again. At the gate, Lorenzo stopped her. I can't return your sister. No, but I found where she's buried. He handed her a file. She fought trying to save them. Elena closed her eyes. Tears came quietly, not because pain was new, because certainty was. Thank you, she said. He hesitated. Stay. She looked back at the mansion, once beautiful, then poisonous, now uncertain. No, she said softly. Some houses must learn to stand without the women who saved them. She walked away. The open window. Years later, people still told stories about the Moretti estate. How a feared bride became a prisoner of her own lies. How a mafia king lost everything false and kept only what mattered. How a maid in plain shoes walked in carrying one suitcase and opened the room everyone was afraid to name. And if you ever pass that hill at sunset now, you'll see one third-floor window always open. For air, for light, for all the years stolen behind a locked door. If this story moved you, shocked you, or kept you watching till the end, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Honey's Romance Stories for more unforgettable suspense, romance, betrayal, and powerful storytelling. Tell me in the comments, would you have opened the locked room or walked away?